This past week, thousands of Yoopers headed into the woods for the start of the firearm deer season. It's basically a local holiday, and it's easily my favorite time of the year. So on Wednesday, I hopped in my truck with all my hunting gear, and I headed to my family camp in Iron County. Its name is Big Red's Retreat, named after my grandpa, Joseph Redinger Sr., who was the camp patriarch. It's been 6 years that he's been gone, but I'm dedicating this episode to him. Camp was his favorite place in the entire world, especially when we could get all the guys together for deer season. And so, this episode is a collection of a few of those camp stories that the guys allowed me to record. Now, I will warn you that there is some swearing throughout this episode. So if that sort of thing offends you, you won't hurt my feelings if you turn it off. Otherwise, without further ado, let's chat it up. Okay, so this first story is a little bit about the early days of our camp, as told by my father, Joseph Redinger Jr. Along with that is the story of the first buck that he ever shot, a big 10-point deer that was taken in Felch Township, but still hangs on the wall in our camp to this day. I hope you enjoy.
We put all the rollaway stuff.
So we bought the camp in 1965, right?
No. 70 something.
Well, I was already out of college.
So was
I never hunted here. From home, from living here, I never hunted here.
Well, what does the can koozie say? Oh, 76. Sorry, so 75, I think Grandma said, because the koozie was off by a year.
Yeah.
I feel like she said 1975 is when you guys bought it.
Right, because I graduated and left in 75.
Okay. So actually, so what? So we've had it for, well, what? If it was 75, 2015 would have been what, 40 years? So we're at what, 40, or 2015 would have been 40 years?
43 years.
43 years. And so they had 7 rollaway beds was essentially this room.
This was it. There was this just one room camp. There was a door there and a door there.
Okay. I remember, was the picture window always there?
No.
I just remember that from when I was a kid.
No, there was a window there and there was a window here. Right here. And a window over there. That was it.
There was always that one over the sink area?
Yeah.
I can't
I
imagine.
don't know if I think there was a window over there too.
But I just can't imagine 7 guys sleeping in this space.
There's pictures around. I don't know of where, but I'm telling you, we were sitting there and all you had was a gas lamp here
And a gas.
the 2 gas lamps over there.
I was like playing through the cruise in my head was like, I gotta read.
Wow.
And this is where this gas lamp was. That's where basically the table was. So then all the beds were.
So you guys were stacked in here like cordwood.
25. We were. It was camp. That's camp was. 9.
Do you remember what year you shot that buck?
That one?
Was it 78?
77.
77?
Fall of 77.
Now, did they have you sitting, I know you were in the South Country below Stu's house, but do you know where they had you sit? Were you sitting on the telephone line, or where did they have you
I was
sitting?
sitting in, it was down by, close to Uncle Stu, was Marty's post.
I remember it was Uncle Marty's post.
Yeah, and it was maybe, I'll just say a quarter mile away from from Stewart's.
Okay.
He dropped me off. He said,
Back in the game.
I don't know what kind of how you're used to hunting. He said, but I'm going to sit all day or all afternoon. We went down there at like 12 o'clock noon.
Okay.
And he said, if you can't sit, he said, don't walk that way because that's where I'm sitting. He said, walk this way, whatever, just to stretch your legs out or whatever. And so,
And you're not in the heated blind.
huh?
You're not in the heated blind at that time.
Fuck no.
No.
It was a Thursday or a Friday after Thanksgiving.
They didn't exist.
No.
Oh, there was baited.
No, but not heated.
Oh no, but there was 3 rutabagas in the snow that were buried in this, covered in snow.
Was there like that you had gotten a storm, or it just had snowed?
Well, it had snowed before I got there.
The fuck do you want?
So anyway, I remember sitting in there, and I looked behind me. I could hear, all afternoon I could hear shit behind me, and I'm going like, but this blind was not very big, and there was no windows
Right.
to look out the back. So I had to climb out the front, like climb over, and just to get out to look behind me.
Yeah.
And I'm going like, I can't do that, and that's gonna fuck everything up,
Right.
So finally, I sat there and sat there and sat there and never saw deer all day long. And all of a sudden, I saw this deer walking down the hill straight away from me. And
But at that point, you can only see the brow tines.
well, no, but when it got to where the 3
Who dealt this?
Rutabagas were.
rutabagas were in the snow, he said when it got there, that had the same scope you have on your gun.
Okay.
Now that's a good story for you. For your
It wasn't
that
that.
scope was on my gun
Really.
when I first bought it. Yeah,
I did not know
it's a
that.
straight 4-power scope.
It is.
Yeah, and so anyway, I looked at it, but it was Scott. It was 4:45.
Okay.
I mean, all I could see, I just put my scope on. You look at the head, right?
Yeah.
And so all I could see was the 2 brow tines in the scope
Okay.
at the time. But then I thought just before I shot, I thought I might have saw forks,
Okay.
which would have been the
Yeah.
some of the back.
Yeah,
And so anyway,
that's a goal.
boom, I shot,
Not my lead. 27.
and
Goal. 29.
so I know what to do. I know where I was. I walked down there.
I thought you got out and smoked a cigarette and waited for Uncle Stu.
Well, I did, but I had a flashlight that was smaller than my phone.
Okay.
A little
Click light.
throwaway flashlight.
Yeah.
And so I found blood
No,
in the snow. So I was standing there,
How did I go? You went
and I said, well, I had no, I couldn't go anywhere
Right.
because I didn't know where I was.
I think so.
I still have no idea where I was really. So I said, well, I'll smoke a cigarette, wait for see if Stuart comes over. I smoked a cigarette. Stuart came over. He had a big flashlight. He says, I said, I got a spot of blood right here. He turned his flashlight on, and he says, oh, look at this. And there was blood
All over.
in the snow and up the tree behind it. He said he didn't go far. He said, how big was it? I said, spike, maybe a fork. So we walked. We started following the blood trail, and it was straight uphill. The same hill he came down, he ran back up.
Yeah.
And so we started going back up that trail, and all of a sudden Stuart goes, how big was it?
I'm coming in right
I said, well,
now.
I said, a spike, maybe a fork. He said, oh, really? He said, look at this.
I don't think he was fucking
And he shined his
Yeah, I think so.
flashlight on it.
Yeah.
And I go like, holy fuck.
Look at courtesy of
First buck I ever shot.
That's the first
Ever.
buck you ever shot in your entire
I was
life.
27 years old.
I'd have quit hunting. Because
I should have.
Well, what did Escher say? That's probably about 110.
They have a lookalike bus to me.
Didn't he say it's about 110?
What?
We took the ferry across.
Like the points, as far as like if you were gonna measure
Oh,
it?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Oh, I thought Escher said it was.
But it
about
was
one.
wider. It was wider than that. If you go, Mom, there's a picture somewhere in our basement, which I think we should dig out. I would like you to
Put it in a frame?
put it in a frame or whatever. And I'm telling you, my whole body fit inside the horns.
Well, you were a lot younger and skinnier then, though.
Well,
too.
but I'm just telling you that closed up
Yeah.
after when we took wherever I took it to a cheap taxidermist down in Green Bay.
But
But it was at one time the inside of the back tines was 13 and a half inches.
okay,
And it's not that far anymore.
yeah.
You lose 2 inches.
Huh?
You'll lose at least 2 inches when they dry up.
Yeah.
The next story is told by Mr. Larry Lindholm. Larry is a first cousin to my dad and his brothers, and he has hunted with us for many years. The other main voice you'll be hearing is a story from Mr. Nick Blodgett. Nicky's camp is on the same road as ours, and he has been a very good family friend for many, many years. Both of their tales are told over a poker game, so please excuse all of the background noise.
Oh, I thought I had it.
All right, Lair, so I want to hear this hunting story.
I know you do.
So what is... Just go ahead.
What hunting story?
He said he's got his best hunting story, and I want to hear his best hunting story.
So I.
Okay.
The best. We're talking about the best, though.
The nicest deer I ever shot. Okay. I was
Is that your best hunting story?
I was up at Chuck's camp.
Where's Chuck's camp?
Chuck's camp is up in Ralph.
Okay.
And
Chuck?
Chuck Witter.
Chuck Witter.
Chucky.
Chucky Witter.
And I couldn't hunt.
Chucky
I couldn't hunt the first day because I had to work. So, and I didn't get up there. I didn't get up to camp the first night. So I went up to camp the morning of the 16th. I had my blind, and I had my two-wheel drive Ranger pickup truck. So anyhow, I was going to drive up to my blind, which was from camp across the swamp on a little S curve and up a hill.
Wait, do we preface what year this was? Or do you remember what year it was?
Probably 85 or 86.
85 or 86? Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
Anyhow, so I drive across the swamp, and I make the S curve, and I'm going up the hill. When I turn right and start going up the hill, I look over to the left. I see this doe and this buck, and I'm trying to get up the hill, and I'm spinning. So I got to back down and try again. So I back down, try again. I go up and trying to get up the hill, and I look over to the left, and this buck is running away. It's trying to get up, I can't get up. So one more time, I back down the hill, and try again for the third time to get up the hill. I'm coming around the S curve, trying to get up. I see that buck coming back. So I can't get up the hill, so I park the truck right in the middle of the hill, get out, take my gun out of the case, load it, and because the buck came back, and I see it standing there. So I walk down the hill, and I don't see it. I walk up the hill, and it's standing there, staring at me.
One more card.
So I take my 30-30 through the scope, aim for it, and all the while it's just standing there. I can't see horns through the scope. I put the gun down, look at it. It's a buck. I see the horns. I put the scope up, can't see horns. Put the gun down, look again. There's horns. This is true. This is 100% true. So I put the gun up. I'm convinced it's a buck. So I put the gun up, pull the trigger, and it goes down.
And in.
So I was going to walk down behind the truck and around on the trail.
No peep.
To where I thought this buck was standing, but I thought I thought I better not. I better go straight down through the brush at it in case it got up and ran. And went through the brush. The doe that the buck was following was standing there all along, and finally when I started going through the brush, she took off. I went down to the buck, and it was a beautiful, nice 8-point buck. But I'm up with the rifle, down with the rifle, up with the rifle, down with the rifle, and finally I convinced myself that to shoot it, and I did.
What's your
through the neck, one shot.
I'll just say one real quick.
Yeah, no, I want to know. What's your best?
My brother-in-law used to be married to Betsy, my sister, Tommy Stino. He might be coming this year. He might be here this year.
Okay.
He said we were drinking like we are right now. I mean, we don't give a shit about drinking. He said, and he always called me Blodge. Blodge, I'm going to the hill right behind the camp. I'm going to shoot one tomorrow morning. I said, yeah. Go ahead, just go do your thing. We all went to bed, like we're talking right now. Went to bed. He woke me up, whatever time it was. I have no idea. Done. I got one. I said, what? A 7-pointer. Come over, top of the hill. He just happened. However it happened, who the hell knows? It's like you lucky bastards, basically. Up top of the hill, and Tommy was a hunter. He liked he went out and just kind of moved. Thought no posts. Not that he didn't. In fact, most of us don't
Still
hear
hunting.
That's
what they call it. Still hunting.
Trim came up tonight. First time this year came up tonight, and he went out where he's going.
What's your best buck story?
My best buck story.
He can't tell you. He'd have to kill you.
My best buck story. I mean, seriously, there's.
I know you have a lot, but what's one that sticks out the most?
None of them, really. None of them. Not that I can think of. I suppose the best thing I ever did is I shot. The best one probably was Dale Blodge used to come up. Dale used to come up here, and they used to play in band, and they had a thing on top of that side of the hill back of us. And Dale kept coming back every night. He says he's been shooting at this 6-pointer or 7-pointer. I know what's going on. It's freaking guns drive me crazy and whatever else. I can't believe this. He missed it about 3 nights in a row. And it was almost like clockwork. Just before dark, the deer would come there. I said, and he'd come back to the camp. We'd go on the side of the truck. I had a green 76 Chevrolet, so that'd be a 1976 or thereabouts.
Okay.
I said, shoot this thing. Shots were good, within, killing shots.
Yeah.
I can't believe how you missed it. You must be getting nervous or something. I don't know. He says, I'm done hunting. I'll never hunt again. And it hasn't since then. I said, well, I'm going over there. I'll go there. There it is. 7-pointer is. On the side of the hill, coming where my tripod is right now. And here comes the deer. It's almost like clockwork. It's like, it was almost too easy. Boom.
down and went.
Back to camp. And he quit hunting. He's never hunted since that.
Really?
So I wanted a 308. I actually wanted a 308 Browning. He went sour, but that's what I wanted. Why he couldn't hit
You
that?
never sold this gun?
No.
My
When I
most
saw it,
my
I
most
wanted that gun bad.
You got it?
No, I wanted it. No, I don't worry.
my most memorable hunt was my very first buck that I shot because I missed that 8-pointer before I shot that spike. I went out after lunch, right after lunch. Everybody was still finishing up. I went out ahead of Brad. Brad said, I'll probably be 10 minutes behind you. So I went down to my blind, got off the four-wheeler, walked into my blind and sat down. And all of a sudden, 2 does come flying across my shooting lane 100 miles an hour. And I'm like, what's going on? All of a sudden, here's this 8-point buck with its nose down, obviously, trailing him because the rut was on. So I pull up my gun, and I'd never hunted before. I'm shitting my pants. So I pull up the gun, and I'm getting it in my sights, and my heart, all I can hear is my heartbeat in my ears. And as I'm kind of getting ready, all of a sudden I can hear Brad's four-wheeler coming down the hill towards my blind. And the buck had stopped in my shooting lane, actually, and was looking around because I heard Brad's four-wheeler. So I've got it lined up, and instead of trying to shoot it in the shoulder where I should have, I aimed for the neck. And as I'm pulling the trigger, it looks towards the sound and picked its head up, and I completely whiffed on my shot, and it ran. So Brad and I looked for blood, couldn't find any because I completely missed. And so he went to his blind, and I went back and sat down, and I was completely just defeated. But it was like an hour and a half later, this little spike horn came walking in from straight out in front of me, which I don't know how Brad didn't make its way towards Brad, because really where I was hunting at the time, he was kind of almost straight out in front of me. But anyways, that's my most memorable for sure.
Now that you mentioned that, I got a better story, because me and my wife, back in August of many years ago, we were at Staunton Business in Green Bay. Store that had guns and stuff. We walked in, and to me it's like a candy. You want to look for another gun? And my wife told me, buy where you want. Unbeknownst to me, it's just like out of the blue. I said, what? Buy whatever you want. If you could buy a gun here right now, what would you buy? I said, I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't want to make a long story. I said, holy Christ! I was kind of dumbfounded. I said, well, all I want right now, if I had my choice, I want a Browning 7mm with the scope, the whole ball of wax. I want the whole muscatel. Buy it. And I'm telling you, I get goosebumps thinking about it. Buy it. Now? I said, well, who's got this? Just buy it. I said, are you shitting me? He says, nope, I'm not shitting you. I bought that gun, Browning 7mm. I still have the gun. I have every gun I've ever bought. That was my holy shit. A Browning 7mm scope, the whole ball of wax. Go to camp. I didn't want to take it out of the. I had a camp. I take my 30-30. My 30-30 is my alternative. That's all.
That's your
Yeah.
go-to gun.
Yep.
That's my go. I'm sitting in a post when I posted, and I'm sitting there posted, and here comes a freaking nice, beautiful 8-pointer, and I'm taking that 30-30. So it's snowing and watery, and I'm with the 30-30. The thing's about 80 yards away, 90 yards away. Boom! About 10 yards in front. See the smoke. The deer don't even move. And I'm thinking, God damn it! And another action. Boom! Maybe to the left a little bit, but not even closest. My brand new 7 is sitting in the camp, and I never got the deer. I'm thinking, what the hell? Because I don't want to get it wet.
You remember when we would
That's the
use?
story. That's a true story.
Remember when we'd use those walkie-talkies?
Yeah. I
Okay.
still got one.
So that's probably my other most memorable, and it's not something of me shooting. So Todd basically would hunt right across the swamp from me. Now that's clear cut.
Oh.
But I'll never forget this. We're out hunting, We would talk back and forth on those radios, and I'm sitting there, and Todd goes, I hear come through on the radio. Hey, Scott, you seen anything? So I have my radio on back. No, I'm not seeing anything. How about you? He goes, listen to this. And I just hear through the swamp, him shooting an 8-point buck. He had the balls to radio me that he was shooting a buck instead of me before he pulled the trigger.
That's good stories.
Do you remember Grandpa with the 2-buck blind? Did he shoot one in the morning and one in the afternoon, or how did that come about?
I do not remember.
Oh, I'll tell you about our place. Oh, I remember.
The 2-buck post was. I don't think it was one in the morning and one in the afternoon. It might have been on the same day, but I
thought it was. I know for sure it was the same day. I just didn't know if it was morning and afternoon.
Oh, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Them guys shot deer. They shot deer. That my follow-up Tuesday. They shot deer.
We never shot deer here. That many.
Not like them guys. I got pictures of our place right now from 65, 66, 60. Not those. They were all
have to be hospitals.
Right.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'll tell you what. And one guy shot most of them.
Most of them were does.
No. No, my father-in-law, Mickey, would never shoot a doe.
No.
To this day, he would never shoot a doe.
Mick.
Never shoot a doe. Yeah, he said that since I know him. We don't shoot does. Never. And he get pissed off at anybody else and shot a doe over there.
Really?
It ain't gonna happen. But I got
Will you
pictures
grab me a beer
of
when you
bucks.
come in?
I'm telling you now, they're there.
I'll take one too, A-Train.
But that was then.
Yeah.
Now it's 2018.
Okay, that's going to wrap things up here for episode 12. My first takeaway from this episode is just how awesome deer camp is. And the best part is that it's awesome whether you shoot a buck or you don't. And that's because deer camp is about so much more than filling your tag. You know, it's an annual time of year to gather, and you gather over cocktails, big meals, and warm fires, and you really develop strong bonds and camaraderie. Really, the only thing more plentiful than the beer supply is the supply of laughs and the supply of stories. And really, that leads me into my biggest takeaway from this episode. And that takeaway is how important the stories told at deer camp are. In my opinion, it is vitally important that our traditions and our tales continue on. And the first step to making that happen is passing things down orally. So if you're listening to this, I challenge you to sit down with those that you know and you love and start telling your stories. Write them down, record them, whatever you want to do. Because really, at the end of the day, that's how we can assure that our legacies and our heritage live on forever. Chat It Up is a bi-weekly podcast about all things Upper Peninsula of Michigan. If you haven't already, please subscribe, rate, and leave me a review. You can also find Chat It Up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you for listening in. I'm your host, Shooter, reminding you to keep your chin up and your eyes forward.